And we're live. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Multiverse Show, episode 108 on the greatest show on Mondays. And thank you guys for joining in. We got some good topics we're going to talk about. What are we talking about? We're actually just talking about Red Dead, man. We're not even going to joke. We're just going to talk about Red Dead all day.
No pretense.
Let's
not pretend otherwise.
Oh, look, he says wait 5 minutes, and there he is. He shows up 11 minutes late. All right, we have Mr. James Wilson just showed up. But quick, we also have a guest on the show for the evening. He's been on quite a few times, but he's always been a welcome friend of the realm. Demigod Reviews. How you doing, Demi?
I'm great. Howdy, everybody. Howdy, fellas of the podcast. I tip my hat to everybody.
Howdy.
There will be no slander from you tonight, sir.
Hey. It's a different podcast. I can't do that.
I'll let you next Wednesday, man.
All
right. So we got do some of our intros here. We also have Mr. Samuel Tober over from the Inner Circle Network. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing very, very, very well. I've been in a great mood because of a little cowboy game that dropped, and it has been fantastic to play. I've done pretty much nothing but play it and write. That's it.
Jerry Jones made a game?
Yeah.
It's only cowboy I recognize.
Wow.
All right. And Mr. Fame Entertainment himself, gracing us from the great state of Texas. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Well, what's going on, people? Fame Entertainment here from TickGamesNetwork.com. Welcome to the greatest show on a Monday. Thank you guys for rocking with us once again. It is going to be a great show, and I might be sleeping through what they talking about all day.
Oh, baby. All right, and we have Mr. James Wilson, who shows up at the last minute.
Hey, I told you I was leaving in 5 minutes 20 minutes ago, and I live 30 minutes from my house, okay? It's amazing I got here at all.
You know what I find amazing? The fact that you still continued a Pulp Fiction reference we did on Twitter from last week. It says I'm 30 minutes away. I'll be there in 10.
Oh, I didn't mean to.
You did.
Maybe I'm so, movies are just so my blood that I just constantly make references.
All the time.
No, but yeah, I've been spending my time not playing Red Dead Redemption because I don't care. I haven't played any new games at all, and all I've done basically is stand around in the Odeon in Swiss Cottage, which is a cinema, hiding as Michael Myers, scaring guests. It's been brilliant.
Sounds fun.
Oh God.
That sounds like a lot of fun, to be fair.
For the people who don't know what's going on, James, tell people what you've been doing at work.
So I bought a Michael Myers mask, which I wore last week on the show, so go back and watch that. And I've been hiding in the fire exits in the screens where we're showing it. And just before the film starts, I come out and just stand there for a bit and walk out.
That sounds like something I do.
All right, James, you already answered that question. So you're not playing Red Dead. What are you playing?
I'm not playing any games. I'm not any new stuff. I'm dissecting Life is Strange, and my flatmate gave me Octopath Traveler, so I'm debating whether I do that.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about it. Well, that or Undertale basically is my next game I'm going to do.
All right, cool. Fame, since you're not playing Red Dead either, what are you playing?
Like I was saying before the show, man, I've actually been playing a lot of Madden. For those who've been rocking with me, I've said it a long time ago. Up until maybe, I don't know, 6-7 years ago, I guess you can call me, I was a casual gamer because all I did was play Madden. I played a lot of competitive Madden tournaments all over the United States, and I've been everywhere doing stuff like that. And I've actually been playing a lot of Madden because I've been thinking about getting back into Madden heavy and back into Madden competitively. So yeah, it's literally just been a Madden fest for me as of late, really for the past month or so.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I gotta disappear for just a second. But all right, Sam. All right, we already know the rest of us have all been playing Red Dead. So, well, you might as well get into just impressions. Just general impressions, no spoilers.
Can we talk about what happens in like chapter 1 or?
Sure, chapter 1 is fine. That's like the first hour of the game, maybe 2 hours.
All right.
So I think that's fair game. It's really not like nothing super spoilery, honestly.
Sure.
So I think that's fair.
So
So
basically,
everyone else in agreement about that?
the barometer is if I've heard of it, then it's not a spoiler.
No, it's not. It's not
No,
that if I've heard of it, it's a spoiler. It's more like, okay, if you have the game, we're not going to destroy plot points and stuff. It's
Because
like
I
the
don't
first
know if
hour
this
and
is
a
a
half.
spoiler or not, but I know that there's been a returning character. Let's say.
Well, there sure better be because it's a prequel. So,
There's a lot of returning characters.
yeah, there's more.
But a specific one that wasn't in the advertising.
Yeah, that would be a
What?
spoiler then.
Okay, fine.
Really?
I know. Okay, fine.
That would be
Yeah,
a spoiler?
I know. Yeah, it would be.
Is it the obvious one?
No, it's another non-obvious one actually.
No, because I think
okay.
that is an obvious no.
All right. I mean, okay. Text me who you're thinking about, Sam, because I want to make sure this isn't something else.
Gotcha.
But anyway, all right. Anyway, so Demi, we're gonna let you start since you're the guest on the show. What are your impressions about Red Dead Redemption 2? Or wait, before we even get into that, were you hyped about this game beforehand? Like, what was your kind of interest level? And then from there, how do you feel about the game now?
Honestly, I say I was hyped because I had to go back and replay Red Dead 1 because I actually didn't give the first one a good enough appreciation. I played it when I was younger, and I was just like, yeah, it's cowboys doing cowboy stuff. That's cool. But as I came back to it at this age, there's still scenes that shine to me, like crossing over to Mexico when the song begins to play. Like, that is a very, very underappreciated scene. Just in how it translates, how it goes, just from the song kicking in, which is a beautiful, beautiful song, by the way. That is a wonderful song. But was I hyped for 2? Now I was hyped for 2, yeah. I was so hyped I went out and bought a cowboy hat. It's made out of leather.
Oh, God.
I'm impressed with this game. I'm amazed. Not a lot of people are talking about certain aspects of this game, from the dynamic weather to like the gunplay. I think some of the gunplay is like some of the most immaculate I've seen, especially for the 1800s, where you see Arthur cocking the revolver back enough, or you see him like reloading the carbine rifle and he's just like jamming it in. It's a lot of amazing details people are overlooking. Yeah, some of the controls are a little wonky and a little bit off, but from the gun details, from the facial details, from the real-time beard growth, that shout out to The Witcher for starting that up. I'm actually enjoying that a lot too. Now I'm trying to not step into spoiler lane, so I got to watch what I say here. The towns are bustling full of people, and there's a lot of dynamic stuff happening within the towns that change every time that you get there. And also, I didn't know that you can get in trouble for shooting a dog. That's something.
Why would you not be able to get in trouble for that?
Hey, it's random dogs. Why would I get in trouble for it?
Because they're not random. Like, they belong to people. Every dog in the game has an owner. I remember one time I was trying to sneak into a shop late at night, and the dog in the yard saw me and started barking. And the old man who owned the shop was like, "Hold on, what's going on out there?" And it's like, "Oh crap!" Like, it's a watchdog, and so I had to make a run for it before he saw me. Like, no, they're not just random, dude. They have their owners. They'll be friendly. Like, if during daylight, if you pet them and praise them, then they'll be nice around you, and they won't like tip off your location, or at least they have a chance not to.
I learned that the hard way because I got at least $200 bounty on me for doing that. The town was after me. They were pissed. One thing I will say, the bounties in this game are much more vicious than the first one.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
Like, they do non-stop crazy. Like, there is a mission you will do where you have to get a bounty on your head, and it is so annoying.
I racked up $1,000 bounty. When you rack up $1,000 bounty, I rob the bank.
There we go. Now, I think I lost audio, but I was saying the real question is, when we gonna get Demi streaming with that cowboy hat on?
Look,
that's the real.
It's coming. Don't worry. I racked up $1,000 bounty, and when you do that, they come at you with Gatling, like a lot of Gatling cannons start coming toward you. It's
they send the Pinkertons after you.
Yeah,
like
it gets crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you're absolutely right. There's a ton of detail. I mean, I'll be harping on that for weeks to come. Honestly, you can play the entire game. I mean, bar the cutscenes, anyways, in first person, realistically, and it will work well. Like the reloading animations are way more detailed than they ever need to be, considering the majority of people are going to be playing in third person. But they made them detailed anyways. And while I wasn't sure how I'd feel about having to manually cock like the lever action rifle to eject the bullet or to, cock the hammer back on the single action revolver, I really like it. It adds a tactical layer to the gameplay that you have to make sure to put that extra trigger tap in there. It's really, really good. And I know Rockstar deservedly gets a lot of crap about how the shooting has been in their past games. It was passable in Red Dead. It wasn't really that good in GTA 5 or prior, if I'm being honest. The guns didn't feel like they had a lot of weight. They felt very floaty. And in Red Dead Redemption 2, I like it. I think the guns feel incredible to use. Every single one of them. They feel dangerous. But at the same time, it's also handled realistically. Like just one shot, depending on the gun, isn't going to kill somebody. You need to aim for vital organs. You need to aim for the head. Things like that.
Dude, that game is so ridiculous. Like I have not played a game like this in forever. The last game where I have binged on this game to this extent was Fallout 4, where I played it non-stop. Like today, okay, so it came out on Friday. I didn't get a lot of chance to play it on Friday itself. Like I stayed up like an hour and a half on the week before. No, the day it came, the night it came out. So I stayed up an hour and a half, and I basically went through all Friday, and I played for like another 2 hours. But then, like all Saturday, all Sunday, only Red Dead. Like that's all I played. That's all I did.
Damn.
And I'm pulling up my the time I have in the game, just so I can give you the exact figure. Like this game is really quite amazing. I've had a great time playing this game. And to give you like my thing, I had minimal excitement for this game. It was like, cool, Red Dead.
I remember you were one of the people mocking me on here when I said I was excited for it.
Yeah, I remember watching and hearing that.
And like I just was not really excited for it. I was like, Red Dead, okay. I'm not a big fan of Rockstar games, but this doesn't feel like a Rockstar game in terms of story. It really doesn't. It feels like this is some next level stuff, dude. Like this is like Rockstar being legitimate for once and trying to actually make a decent story.
It honestly feels like a movie. It feels like a movie combined like those old Western TV shows I used to watch as a kid. And I that's the feeling I get from it every time I go into the wilds or I go into the mountains or I just hear Arthur say something, because Arthur has a really, really thick, like heart of Texas accent.
It's great.
See, actually, the accent thing I found very interesting because it was like John Marston in Red Dead 1 or Red Dead Redemption 1. He was very, like, matter of fact, snarky all the time. But, like, Arthur, like, yeah, he can be snarky, but he is not by default that way. Like, he doesn't feel like he's supposed to be like this, I'm the main character, look at me. Like, like voice actors fall into that problem. He feels like he's a side guy who got elevated. And that's kind of the point.
He even says it. He outright says that's what he says. I was just one of the family. I was one of your sons until I became the workhorse. Like that's verbatim what he says. And Arthur is handled, I would say, infinitely more delicately and with more care than any other Rockstar protagonist in the past. He's easily the most compelling one because it's like he's not a desperado, but he's not some lawful goody two-shoes either. Like he's a rough guy living in a rough world, and I think he cares about people. He's going to go out of his way to do nice things and not hurt people, but at the same time, he's capable of being cruel and vicious if he needs to be.
And it doesn't feel like it's an dichotomy that he's trying to go against.
Exactly.
Like that's the problem. That's the problem with a lot of Rockstar games in general, because they try to leave it open for you to choose how you want to play. The problem is the character feels really divided.
And it feels everyone in past Rockstar games, to some extent, some more than others, has felt like they had a split personality. I mean, I think the only exception would be like Trevor, where it's like, yeah, he's a maniac. Okay.
No, Nico. I say Nico also because he was.
Nico?
Yeah.
Okay,
Nico was
okay.
hard, but he had a soft
Okay,
spot.
Nico, fair. Nico, but okay. But definitely more so than like Franklin or Michael, I would say.
Yeah.
Arthur makes a lot more sense, and the law and honor system, like the honor or dishonor system, whatever, actually makes more sense for him than it did for John Marston in the original game. I would say.
So random aside thing. So I know everyone here but Demi is playing Red Dead on Xbox. So I have the leaderboard for who's put the most time into it. What I'm gonna do right now is I'm just basically gonna go through the list.
Right?
Yeah, I play on the X.
Yes.
I thought the S was the S and the OG was terrible, but the X is glorious.
Oh, dude, it's crazy. It's absolutely insane. But so here's these are all the Multiverse members and other notable people in the community to give you an idea of how many long people have actually played this game. So at the bottom of notable people, we have Inferno from Four Guys with Quarters has 1 hour 15 minutes. Mike P. The Truth has 2 hours and 51 minutes. Kid Smooth has 3 hours and 20 minutes. Undead has 4 hours and 20 minutes, which I'm actually very surprised about.
It's because he got to 420 and peaked.
That
I mean, just to go
he's
legal.
been busy, dude.
Yeah, he's been busy.
Really busy, dude.
I'm very surprised about that, though. Very, very surprised. Scrolling on up here, Eric from Gaming Perspective has 7 hours 30 minutes. Let's see. Scrolling on up. Fastback from NLG has 11 hours and 15 minutes. Sorry. Brandel Thor has 23 hours. Sam clocking in with 23 hours 47 minutes.
Let's go, Rand. Let's go.
And I have 1 day, 7 hours and 24 minutes.
Not bad. Although, I will say we're not done, sir. We're not done.
We're not done.
My compatriot
Rage is above me by 1 hour. He's above me by 1 hour. But actually, the person who has the most on my leaderboard right now is Jay Fonzarelli. He has 2 days, 4 and 5 hours. He has an extra 24 hours more than me. What was I heard it. I was listening. He was on a podcast. It was really funny because he was saying like, "I played for 48 hours," and I was like, "He said he played for 40 hours." I was like, "Impossible." The game's been out for 52 hours from the point that you're talking right now. There's no way you've played for 40 hours. At the time, you had played 38 hours and 50 minutes. I was like, okay, I'll give you that.
That's more than I worked last week.
I know. Like, that's insane, the level people are playing. I haven't played a game like this where that's all I want to do. I haven't done that since Fallout 4, and that's a big deal.
Okay, so you guys have been playing this game for ages, already more than I played most games. From what you're saying, this sounds more like my kind of game than not.
I think you would like it, James. I
do too. I really do. You will appreciate the cinematography. You will appreciate the more. How do I put this? Not theatrical. That's not the way to put it. Like the heart, I guess, that Rockstar has put into this. Like it's not. It doesn't feel like a traditional Rockstar game in tone. Even over the original Red Dead, it's infinitely more serious and it's infinitely more focused on character and the nuance in this gang, and they're basically a family, and the inevitable results of certain decisions that happen, and the way these small decisions imbalance people and they all stack up. It feels like a Western epic in the best possible way.
I think I'm going to give it another month, see if the price drops, and then pick it up.
Oh, you know what's another thing?
Rockstar game. The price is not going to drop.
Nah, it's going to be up there for a while.
No, keep in mind, GTA 5 came out in 2013, The lowest I've ever seen it, and it was on sale for like a weekend, was $20. And
Yeah,
every other
but-
time it's been $60 base price.
Yeah, Britain's weird.
You know what's another thing we haven't talked about? The fact that actual missions, I'm talking actual story missions, have big decisions.
Bigger than you think. Yeah, bigger
Yeah.
than you think, for sure.
Something
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting to actually pop up when you had to help someone. It said help or don't help. I'm like, what happens if I pick don't help?
Mm-hmm.
And it ends. And
Yeah.
that person can actually dislike you from the rest of the game going forward.
There's some pretty brutal, not even just that, but like the side activities as well, that you can make some pretty harsh calls in like terms of rescuing people that get attacked and things like that. It's very interesting, and you know the way that stacks up with the townspeople liking you or disliking you. Because like and it's not the scripted mission fight either. That's not what I'm talking about here. If you play the game, but I got into a fight with some people, and I scuffed up a couple of guys, beat one into the mud in a street brawl. The law kicked me out of the town, and then I came back a few days later, and the law officer was like, "Don't make me remind you what happened last time." And a couple of the like villagers and whatnot would constantly shuffle out of my way and like wouldn't talk to me because they remembered what happened, even though it had been several in-game days. It's like, dang, okay.
Yeah. Some of those bar fights you have to watch yourself from doing because the bartenders will kick you out on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
I can't go into the St. Denis bar anymore because I had a bar fight in there. And every time I step in the bartender goes to get the law, and I'm just like, you know what? I'll just take a step out here, guys.
Does the music stop playing when you walk in?
For you, yes.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, I don't know if the music stops playing, but the people do stop and turn around and look at you.
I have heard from a couple other people who have played that say if you have that bad of a reputation there, they will stop.
I
Like,
believe
what?
it. I believe it 100%.
I'm not gonna lie. Hearing this, that is my only goal in the game.
Oh,
Everyone's gonna hate you.
Another thing, you have to bathe. You have to make sure
Yep.
you're
You have to bathe.
because if you like get blood on you from enemy carcasses and hunting and stuff, and you get mud on you, it builds up, and within a few days of that happening, people will tell you, "Boy, you stink," or stuff like that. And if you keep letting it get worse, and you don't take the big hint, they will just not talk to you. Like shopkeepers won't sell you anything because they'll be like, no, I'm not dealing with this. Get out of here. You're a hobo. And so you need to make sure you're grooming and you're taking care of yourself like that.
Yeah.
I don't think having a longer beard and a longer hair it contributes to that, but I could be wrong.
A shopkeeper told me to groom myself multiple times.
Wow.
Yeah, he told me you need to get a haircut. You need to shave. You look way much better with like a haircut. And I was just like, wow, really? I'm not doing it, but okay.
Yeah, seriously. Oh, and you can pet every single dog in the game, which is very important.
I think you can do that for cats too.
And
I haven't seen any cats.
The big thing for you, James, is there's so many movie references.
Mm-hmm.
There's tons of references in this game.
Well, that's not a surprise. Rockstar do that all the time.
But like that, like even subtle things, like the start of the game is very strong True Grit vibes, Hateful Eight vibes. It's pretty heavy.
Who did the music?
I don't know off the top of my head. Let's take a look.
I can tell you in just a moment.
I'm already Googling it.
A great detail about this game is that when you go hunting, the animals actually can decompose. That was a surprising addition for me.
Yeah. Woody Jackson, that was the composer. He did
the first one.
Yeah, he did the first one. He also did GTA 5, LA Noire, and Max Payne 3. So he's worked with Rockstar.
He's Rockstar's in-house guy. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys are talking about the voice of Arthur. Do you know who the actor was?
Yes, I do. Although, by the way, apart from the voice of a couple of returning characters who, I mean, we already knew they were going to be voiced by the exact same people. What's interesting, and I have never seen this before, you guys can correct me if you've ever seen it before, is all the voice actors were under embargo until launch day. An hour before the game came out, they all came out on Twitter and said, "Yep, I'm the voice of this character. Yeah, I'm very proud to announce that I'm the voice of, Sadie Adler. I'm the voice of XYZ." And that really, really surprised me. Arthur Morgan is voiced by Roger Clark. Have you guys ever heard of him? Or
Nope.
Off the top of my head.
he's an Irish-American actor. Lives in New York. He's done a few other video game roles, stuff like that. But
Roger Clark. Let's take a look.
This is very interesting. Very interesting for the people at home. It's Men Look Things Up.
mhm.
He doesn't have a lot of roles.
He
He's been in a
really
few
doesn't.
things, but nothing I can
Rockstar-
actually write off.
I don't know
Hey,
if you
was-
guys read that interview with Vulture magazine. Rockstar has made it clear that they don't like working with established people unless it's people they have a history with who started with them. They like because they've had a really bad history whenever they try to work with celebrities or established actors and things like that. So they try to find more subtle talent to culture on their own.
Oh, he
You know,
trained in England. That's why he's so good.
Oh God! All right, so I got one question. The question that's on everybody's mind right now.
Mhm.
Faye, why aren't you playing Red Dead? Why do you not like good games?
Man, I was like passed out asleep till you called my name.
Exactly. That's why I talked. That's why I did it now.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. It's nothing like. Here's the thing, and I've said this 100 times. Like people think me not playing the game is like me knocking the game. I've not once said anything bad about the game, like nothing serious. Like what I keep knowing, I'm joking around. I played the first Red Dead, like played a couple of hours, and I was like, "Oh, okay, well this is cool. This is just not." I just wasn't interested. So now this is out. I'm out for the fraud and be like, "Oh, I'm so hyped for this game," knowing good damn well I wasn't really feeling the first one. So I'm just like, maybe one day I'll pick it up, but I'm, just not for me.
No, I get that because Fame, you and I are in the same boat. I didn't really care for Red Dead 1.
Yeah,
I don't like
okay,
Rockstar
this is
games
cool.
in general. I don't really care for Rockstar games in general, but
Even
I
GTA,
wanna know
I
what
wasn't
is
really,
it?
I wasn't really, really digging GTA besides really San Andreas. And that was because of some hood stuff, But I don't know. It's just I don't know. I'm not saying it's a bad game. It's just one of those things where it's just not
No.
for me.
No, but what I'm trying to narrow down is what turns you off from it? Is it just the fact that it was Red Dead 1 you didn't like, or I'm trying to narrow it down.
People tell me I didn't play long enough. I just got bored. People tell me
you played long enough. Red Dead 1 is boring.
People said I didn't play long enough, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm not knocking nobody's playing it.
1 and 2 has
have
the
fun.
same burn though. It has the same slow burn.
The beginning of the game is a slow burn, but even if you didn't like the original Red Dead, and I did like the original, but even if you didn't like GTA 5, I would highly recommend reconsidering.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very different game in tone, again, from anything else Rockstar has done. I mean, it's the most similar to Red Dead Redemption, but even then there's big differences. There really are. This is something else.
Like tonally, in terms of story, the tone is more akin to like a Last of Us kind of vibe, where it's very serious. At least towards the beginning,
Mhm.
it's a very serious. They're not trying to be snarky, like classic Rockstar. They're like, we're here to tell a serious story, and we're going to treat you. We're not going to waste your time.
Yeah,
and that's what they're doing.
Grand Theft Auto 5 started off snarky, and it just stays snarky. I'd say the last one Rockstar game that wasn't snarky was Max Payne 3.
Yeah, and even then, I would say that this is the least snarky of their games, by far. Like, I'll be honest, I can count on one hand how many funny side quests I've had. Just to give you an idea, I think I've had maybe 2 in all the time I've played.
Yeah. There's nothing like absolutely ridiculous. There are elements of like this is weird.
Yeah, or there's funny
like
stuff that happens, but it's not like I'm trying to think of a specific example. Like it's not like in the original Red Dead where John has to put up with a treasure seeker who talks to corpses for hours and hours and hours on end, and then demand he pay up at the end of the bargain when he gets the treasure or whatever. Like there's nothing as dissonant as that. in this.
No.
Not at all.
This makes me want to talk about something about, because we're talking now. We've kind of devolved into talking about Rockstar and how they kind of handle their narratives. And I had this discussion, and I'll say it again. When it comes to Rockstar, I've noticed a thing with all their games is that they have a clear divide between static and dynamic characters. A static character is someone who stays the same. They don't change. They play their role. They do their thing. Trevor's a good example. Like, Trevor learns nothing through the entire point of GTA 5. Nothing at all. He is the same character from the beginning to the end. And that's his whole thing. He says, I'm going to do crazy shit, and that's all I'm going to do. Like, that's his goal. But then you have, like, dynamic characters who change. Like, I'll use GTA 5 again. Franklin's a dynamic character. He starts from the bottom, and he goes up to the top. Like, and by the end of GTA 5, like, where at the beginning of GTA 5, he had friends, he talked to his family, he had a relationship. They weren't great, but he had relationships with people. On the flip side, as soon as he becomes a paid assassin, as soon as he's getting money on the regular, as soon as he gets his own house, as soon as he becomes successful, there's that conversation with his girlfriend, and he says, like, you basically gave up everything for this. You have no friends, you have no family, you gave up everything for money. And she says this line, and it stuck with me. It's like, you may have the biggest house ever in our group, but who do you got to fill it with? And like, he basically loses all that stuff from him. And so he's a dynamic character, but Rockstar does not give dynamic characters good endings. They don't succeed in the end. Like, they basically just survive, or like the overall theme that has happened with Rockstar games is basically saying being a dynamic character and trying to do better for yourself is bad. And that the status quo is the status quo for a reason. Like, and using GTA 5, Michael. Yes, he learned something towards the end, but where he tried to give up his life of crime, do his kind of thing, and he basically came out and had, by Michael giving up his life of crime and trying to go straight, he lost his family until he reconciled with it and says, okay, I'm just going to be a criminal. It's just what it's got to be. But he gains his family back because he makes that realization and makes that change. And that's one thing with them. And Rockstar does this all the time. Like, Nico came to the States, became disillusioned with the American dream, and it's the same kind of thing. He wanted to be dynamic, but he got bogged down in the details, and it gets worse from there for trying to be dynamic. He had to go back to being hard and a criminal. Like, that's the problem with Rockstar games. They hate dynamic characters. But Red Dead Redemption 2 does something different. And from the very beginning, when you start playing as Arthur, you get the feeling he's not a dynamic character. He is just a man who has been placed in this position, and he's just trying to keep the status quo going. He's not trying to rustle any feathers. He's just trying to get from point A to point B. He doesn't have any lofty ideals. He doesn't have anything like there's no deep emotional push for him to be better or anything like that. No. He's not doing that.
He observes the changes in the world. He sees what's happening and he comments on it, but there's a difference. He feels no desire to rebel against the system or go with the flow.
Yeah, he makes the comments that the West is changing. They're hunting us now.
Yeah, but he's still okay with it at the end.
And he is a very static character, but the more you play, you feel like he's being spurred to do something, to become a dynamic character. And you get this feeling, and it's slowly building in you that, like, okay, maybe this situation with Dutch is not that great. Maybe all these other people who are in here are pushing the gang in the wrong direction. Like, you feel like he's being pushed to become something he was not previously inclined to be. And that is something that Rockstar is building up towards, and you feel it. And it's a narrative thematic choice that they've done that is extremely different. And I love it. Because every by default, characters are dynamic by default. Like, it's always, oh, you're playing as Alexios or Cassandra. Oh, I was just I was born great, and I came down to the slums in Kefalonia, and now I'm off to become an adventurer and learn and do all those great things and all. Like, it's every main character you play as is somebody like that. Like, they're going through something. They have to be a dynamic and interesting. But this is something different.
You know who he actually reminds me of? And I know everyone's going to go, ha ha, of course you'd say that, but bear with me here. He actually reminds me a lot of Geralt in what you're talking about, in terms of being a static character with the world changing around him.
Like, it's kind of, I don't know, because my experience with Witcher is Witcher 3, essentially. And so by that point, I don't see him as a static character.
That's fair. That's fair. You haven't played the others. You haven't read.
I can't.
That's fair.
I can't say that. So, okay. But I can't say that personally. But I see what you're referring to. But that's more about being reactionary. Like, oh yeah, things are happening to me. But he is more than willing to upset the status quo if need be.
True.
That's more what I'm pointing towards. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about here. It's just been it's been a blast to play. It's been a privilege.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Even as I'm writing a review, I don't want this to end anytime soon. Like, I'm okay with this being a giant game with the way it handles its pacing, because I don't feel. And Demi, feel free to tell me, because I talked with Ivan about this before. I don't feel pressured, despite this being a vast open world. It doesn't feel like you are inundated with icons and, oh, I got to go do this. Okay, now I got to go do this. Now I got to clear this off. And I got to clear this check mark. And I got to clear this. It's like, no. Okay, I just woke up after a nap. Let's see. We need food. I'm going to go hunting. And I'm going to go see if I can get some perfect pelts. And then bring the food back to camp. It's like, oh, well, Dutch wants me to speak to him. All right, well, I'll go talk to Dutch. But before I do that, you know what? I'm going to go into town, pick up some ammo. Like, it's a very natural progression. And that is something that it's insanely difficult to deal with in open world games. It's very difficult to get pacing down properly. But honestly, I think this game has done it. Or as close to, as is theoretically possible, given the nature.
I don't feel pressure to go do missions, or hell, I had to force myself to stop doing side stuff to actually get through some of the main story.
I hear you.
Yeah, I was just hunting, and I killed the legendary moose and the legendary bear. I was like, okay, all right, well, we're here. I have to, I give them credit, because in Grand Theft Auto 5, it was more so, all right, you did all of this. Now it's actually time to go do these missions. They kind of put you toward doing those missions. Even in GTA 4, they push you to doing some of those missions. In Red Dead, it's more like, okay, I can go do this. I can go see a show. I can go rob some people. I can go be an outlaw today. What do I feel like doing? It's more like you're living a life.
Exactly. It is a very natural progression. I'll be honest, I dare say it does the pacing better than any other game ever. In terms of open world games. In terms of open world games, I think it is the best pacing ever seen.
You actually have choices to do. You have an actual life, a day-to-day. Like, you're actually working a 9 to 5 and then going to do some free stuff on your free time.
Exactly. Everything about this game has a realistic weightiness to it, and I understand that's not what some people want, but I revel in it. I love it. I don't want every game to be this way, but Red Dead is going for that realistic approach, and I appreciate it. I really do.
Yeah, we've been jammed with open worlds this generation, but it seems to be that this one has nailed down what an open world is and the content that you can do while actually letting you go do it. It isn't just, hey, you have to unlock this, you have to unlock this, you have to unlock this. Oh, you can go do this, you can go do that, you can go do that. Matter of fact, you can go do all of this while you go rob people. And that's just a sweet spot. Robbing people while go petting dogs is the greatest thing alive. But seriously, this game is shocking to how much you can do in a day and still go back to do more things and not feel like I have to go finish this story now.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and another thing, my one last point I'll make about this game, besides agreeing with you, Demi, is if you're like me and the heist were your favorite part of GTA 5, you'll be happy. There are heists here.
Woo!
There are heist missions,
I know what to go do now.
which is really cool.
All right, so, I don't want to linger too long because Red Dead is just calling. Like the fact that we keep, I'm just too excited. I just want to play more Red Dead now because they just keep hyping this game up. And okay, is anything else happened in the news? So we say we did our due diligence this week.
The PlayStation Classic games were announced.
All right, cool. Anyone care?
There's a couple of neat standouts. Siphon Filter is there, which is neat because it was like back when Sony Bend actually made console games. I mean, they're about to make Days Gone again, but they went through a long stretch where they weren't making actual PlayStation platform games, and Siphon Filter was one of them. The original
Metal
Grand
Gear
Theft
Solid.
Auto. Yeah, Metal Gear Solid is in there. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, which is a bizarre addition because that ran horribly on the PlayStation. Like that did not run well at all. But there you go, I guess.
I mean, the problem this had is that most of the best games on that console have either there's already a better version available on the current generations. So what's the point?
Yeah, and that and James, the fact that they didn't include a DualShock. The controller doesn't have thumbsticks. That's another sticking point for me. It's like, yeah, Metal Gear Solid, but no, you don't get a DualShock. Ridge Racer, that's cool, but you don't get a DualShock.
Wasn't some of these games built
Sorry, you
for
have to say the name of that racing game correctly.
Ridge Racer. There, did that do it?
Thank you.
If I'm not mistaken, weren't some of these games built for DualShocks?
They definitely were built with the idea that they're better on DualShock, for sure. I mean, they're all technically still playable, but yeah. Now, one really cool thing I didn't think would make it in there is the original Persona game, Revelations Persona. That is pretty cool. I will give them credit for that. That's pretty neat. But yeah, it's like for $100, and I know everyone has a power cable that they can use to charge their phone, but it doesn't even include one of those, and it's 20 games. I don't know. I don't feel compelled to pick this up. I would infinitely rather it be, hey, do you want to download Metal Gear Solid on your PS4? It's $5. Just download it, and it'll work there. I would much rather.
Vagrant Story either. That's a game I was expecting to be on there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But hey, if it appeals to you, it's available on December 3rd, so you don't have long to wait. So there is that. Beyond that, in terms of news, on the more multiverse box office side of things, Halloween is doing well, and Venom has crossed 500 million at the global box office.
Which means it's likely to get a sequel.
It is very likely to get a sequel, and it is almost guaranteed to outgross Justice League.
Damn.
Well, I mean,
this is gonna be sad.
Do you want to just have a quick rundown of the top 10 films of the box office of the year worldwide, the domestic and worldwide?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Very briefly, yes.
Yeah,
we gotta go play.
Okay, so there's no real surprise. There's one surprise in this entire top 10. So number 10, it was Venom. Can I just say 11 is Crazy Rich Asians?
That's surprising.
So Crazy Rich Asians has outsold Ready Player One, Halloween, Ocean's 8, The Star Is Born, The Rampage, The First Purge, all of that stuff. It is the success story of the year. 10 at Venom. Mm-hmm. 9 is A Quiet Place, only 1 million ahead of it, so Venom's gonna jump ahead of it. Then we've got the big guns. Then we've got Solo, A Star Wars Story. Mm-hmm. I'm even surprised it made that much. It's at 213 million. Then Ant-Man and the Wasp.
It was guaranteed at least 100.
This is just America. This is not worldwide.
Yeah, I know.
God, one of them's huge. 7 is Ant-Man and the Wasp, 216 million. Mm-hmm. Then Mission Impossible Fallout. Now we're into like the biggest of the big. Uh-huh. Top 5. Number 5, Deadpool 2. $318 million. Number 4, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. 416. Would you like to guess at what the top 3 are?
No, because I have the same list pulled up as you, so I'll keep my mouth shut.
If Avengers: Infinity War. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
It is in the top 3. It's not number 1.
It's number 2, right?
Yeah.
What else was big that came out?
I just can't believe that Avengers isn't number 1.
What else came out that was kind of a big deal?
I'll put you out of your misery. Number 3 is Incredibles 2.
Oh yeah, that.
Then Avengers.
I forgot that exists.
Then Avengers, but the thing that makes no real sense, considering that Avengers is number 2, is that Black Panther is number 1.
Dude, the repeat viewings for Black Panther were insane.
The repeat viewings in the U.S. were off the charts. That's the thing there.
But it outsold it by $22 million.
That was a big movement for Black Panther too.
Dude, I knew Black Panther was gonna be huge when I went to the theater. The first showing wasn't until noon. I went to the theater at 11 in the morning on Sunday, and there was a line out the door just to see Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason I saw it was because there were whole groups of people who were going to go see it, and there was only one seat left. That was like, no one wanted to go alone to see it. I was like, I'll do it. I'll go alone. I'll take the one single seat. That's the only reason I saw it that day.
How the hell did Super Troopers 2 make $30 million?
I have no idea. No. They cashing in on goodwill, cult status.
That's making me real sad.
All right. So let's wrap things up here so we all get back to playing Red Dead and do something important. All right. So outros. Demi, where can good people find you at?
You can find me at everything Demigod Reviews via Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and Facebook Gaming at Demigod Rev, since it wouldn't let me put everything in. I'm currently uploading a Hitman Let's Play that is probably some of the worst I've ever played, but it's still hilarious. And
wow.
I got some reviews coming up this week between Call of Duty, and hopefully I can get Red Dead finished by this week, even though I don't want it to end. If not, then I'll just probably do it later on. But mainly Call of Duty and a couple indie titles going up. And that's about it.
All right. Sam?
You can find me on Twitter at Samuel Talbert. You can find everything that I write on tickgamesnetwork.com. I have a metric ton of Red Dead Redemption 2 stuff coming up over the next week. If you're stuck on how to get money, if you're not sure how hygiene works, anything and everything like that, I'll be writing about it. So please be excited.
All right. And James?
You can get me on the tweets at James_S Wilson. On Instagram, James Wilson with 2 S's and 2 L's. And come and talk to me about whatever. Tell me your favorite soup.
Favorite soup?
Yep.
Oh, man, that's a tough one. Just one?
Yeah, just one. Seriously.
Yeah,
I like a good minestrone. I like a good minestrone.
I'm partial to hot and sour myself.
Tweet me and the rest of the Multiverse crew your favorite soups for the whole week.
Tell us your soups.
Yes. All right.
You know something, and if you make it and it's too hot, you know what? You can't handle the soup.
Oh my god!
All right, so we're gonna wrap things up here. I'm Anchorman V2. You know where to find me. Thank you guys for really tuning out. We really do like you guys. We will see you guys next week on the Multiverse Show, episode 109, and we're out of here.
Bye.